Hey guys, it's Matt. Before we get into this episode of the podcast, I just wanted to tell you guys my debut single 27 is out right now. It's on all major streaming platforms. I have links for it down in the description of the video, or if you listen to this on audio, description of the audio. Please go stream the track. I'm very proud of it. It's a very personal song, and I really hope you guys will dig it. All right, let's get into the episode. Welcome back, folks. It's been a little bit, but as you can see, I'm now moved into my new office space. So it's the first podcast in the new space. I got a bunch of new content coming out in the next little bit. Going to start streaming on Twitch, but we'll get more into that down the line. But for now, I have TikTok phenomenon, Ottawa musician, defender of all things music. Andy Negative, what's going on, bro?
Hi, how are you?
Good, man. Good. No, thanks for coming on and doing this. It's really cool.
My pleasure. The space looks really nice.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a work in progress. We still got some lights and stuff to put up, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So, before we get into like all the TikTok stuff, I really want to get a background on you and how you got into music, because I know you're out in Ottawa.
Yeah.
So what was your kind of segue leading up to the project that you're currently doing now?
I basically just like played in random punk rock bands for 15 years, give or take, playing around the country and just doing whatever, playing a lot of really shitty shows and meeting a lot of really cool people. And then got tired of being in bands because musicians are flaky. And I just wanted to, keep working. So I decided to just like go it on my own. And that's been six or 7 years of Andy Negative. So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to keep working.
Yeah, musicians can be flaky, can't they?
Oh yes, the flakiest.
So yeah, years of the grind. We got 6-7 years of this project itself, and then what was the decision to move over and start promoting it on TikTok?
I had a friend of mine had suggested it to me when it was Musical.ly. And so I think I set up an account back then and then was like, it's just people kind of like lip syncing and dancing, which is cool, but I just didn't really do anything with it. And then I think it was just pre-pandemic. Someone else had mentioned it again after the name change. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just start posting and see what happens. That was it. Yeah.
TikTok, the transition from Musical.ly to TikTok was interesting because I'm kind of similar to you in that fact where I did hop on Musical.ly just like to try it out and see what it was. But like you, I noticed it was mainly like lip syncing to songs and stuff like that. But then I don't know what the cultural shift was, turning TikTok more into kind of a cross between YouTube and Vine almost, where it's people posting literally anything. Like my TikTok feed is tigers opening packages.
Yeah.
And then like destruction videos, people doing home reno. Like I have the weirdest TikTok feed.
That's cool.
What's your TikTok feed out of curiosity?
It's a lot of like other musicians, like pop punk musicians and stuff, and like friends of mine now that I've made through the platform, because I try to boost them as much as possible. I always watch their content, which is fun, but I also get like wolves. There's like a couple wolf reservations, which I love because I love dogs. So that's a big one for me. And then there's another one. It's just like Pokemon stuff will randomly pop up. And that's a big thing for me. So I'm like, yeah, there's like the three things I care about: music, dogs, and Pokemon.
Well, that's the good thing about TikTok. They make sure the algorithm is on point like that.
Yep.
So I want to talk to you. A big reason I wanted to talk to you is because I came across your TikTok. It popped up in my feed. I saw the videos, the style you're editing in, the music itself. I kind of knew this already, but it made me realize just how, and this is not a slate on anyone particular, but toxifying the emo pop punk genre base can be, because the amount of, and I'm going to use this word because it was just sheer abuse and honestly disrespect I saw in those comment sections was kind of appalling, because it's what music is. It's something that is subjective, but at the same time, people forget, and especially with an app like TikTok, where people can just be nameless, be faceless, and post whatever they want without really thinking about it.
Yeah.
And first off, I just want to check in. Are you okay? Because I know that kind of shit can really get to people, and I've seen it mess people up. But also, just how are you feeling, kind of now post like the sheer onslaught of all that?
So I've had a lot of people come in and check in on me, which has been really really nice. I'm great. I'm doing just fine. I'm no stranger to internet hate. I've gotten it lots of times in my life. So for me, this is the most I've ever gotten in a landslide kind of fashion. So it was a little tricky to deal with maybe for the first week or so, but then I just realized there's so much benefits to people hating you that it's such a useful marketing tool that you can't buy that. But yeah, there's a lot of this toxicity kind of like with the community, and it's nothing new. The punk scene, I'm just gonna like use that as a catch-all term for whatever all these kind of like alternative genres in that area is, like the gatekeepiness. And I remember like when I was a teenager, I was like super overly specific about what did and didn't fit into like the punk thing. It was like only music that I connected with. This is the only thing that's allowed, and nothing else is allowed. It has to be what I like, otherwise it doesn't count. And I think that's just like a very like naive mindset that it just takes people time to get over. And when your entire life is based around your identity is based around like the music you specifically connect to, you don't want anybody in there that doesn't fit into that. So I see why it happens, and I get why it happens. I'm just actively always working against that, because I feel like the punk scene is supposed to be about inclusivity, letting people be who they are, being open to new experiences, and like expressing yourself for who you want to be.
And that's why I wanted to commend you on that, because individuality in music is such a hard thing to come by nowadays, as well as just people being authentically themselves. And that's kind of something I always push for on the show is authenticity in music. And people, it's a saying I was saying, and I've been saying the past few days at my office job, it's a lot of people can't see past their own nose.
Yeah.
And it's really true, especially in this kind of genre, because like you said, we all kind of, all of us who have come through that genre kind of have that almost elitism mind state for a chunk of time, because this connects to me, therefore it's right. And it's opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you're correct.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that. I had a funny feeling you were standing strong, because I noticed the shift, like when the hate kind of really started rolling in, just you leaned more into it and started like kind of poking fun at it, and
Yeah.
just winding the fan bases up a little bit. And I love that, because I'm always a proponent of chaos. So any sort of chance to kind of combat that, it's really, I'm really impressed, and I give you huge kudos for that, man. That's really cool.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely leaned into it a little bit, and yeah, I'm not leaning into it as much as I was at the time, for my mental health, basically, because there's no like you can't keep that up to be this like super antagonizing force. It like doesn't lead to a positive place long term. So for a little bit, while everyone was kind of giving me the business, I was giving them back, a bit. But now I feel like there's been a big shift for me, at least, where there's so much positivity now coming at me from a lot of different places that it wouldn't be good for me or those people to be even focusing on any of the kind of negativity that people are sending my way, even though like the last name is negative, like it's just a word. So I'd rather just focus on the people that are enjoying the ride that we're on and hang it with those people instead.
Well, and I think that's what it is. It's about having fun, because another aspect I always focus on, and probably too much, is life is so limited in terms of the time you have here. And it's, do you really want to spend that time pushing negativity on to someone else? Because you don't agree with what someone's doing, or you're insecure, or whatever reason it is. And advocating for positivity, especially in this kind of genre, is absolutely needed, because music's such a vast landscape of so many different flavors and thoughts and people, and it's amazing to see what people can come up with musically when they put themselves in that scenario. And I'm like I said, I'm really impressed with how you handled all of it. The songs are catchy. I
Thanks.
can't argue that. I thought the
Nice.
songs were
Thanks.
catchy. They're fun. It's it's an expression of you and who you are. And people can either love it or hate it. And if
Yeah.
they hate it, they can just move on and
Yeah.
focus on something else.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially having the benefit of a bit of hindsight and a lot of failure, being like an artist in my 30s, I can realize that, as you said, there's like a limited amount of time that you can do stuff with your life. And if by this point in my life, I just want to like do fun stuff, leave fun stuff behind. And even if it's like I'm writing music that maybe is like tackling things that aren't necessarily just like whatever partying or having a good time, like you can tackle that other stuff. But if you're not having fun while you're doing it, I think that comes across to the people that are digesting the music. And for me, I want people that are engaged with what I'm doing to be having fun, even if it's like catharsis over like being depressed. If we can find a way to have fun while we're doing that, it will just make everything better for everybody else, myself included.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Just out of curiosity, how were the people in your personal life checking in with you and in relation to everything that was going on? Because obviously the people that care about you are going to be the most concerned. So how were they involved with that?
A lot of the people in my very close personal life don't even use TikTok. Like my close friends and my parents and my sibling, he like they don't use TikTok, so they were only aware of stuff coming through as like it's like, oh hey look, I just posted I'm doing an interview with Fantano, and oh hey, Danny Gonzalez did a video, but people are like, oh my god, what's happening here? Um, so that was more just like they found out about it like after it had already happened. It was more just like other musicians in my circle and stuff just reaching out, sending me DMs and just being like, hey, like this is a lot, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah man, I'm great.
I watched the Danny Gonzalez video because a couple people sent me that, and I didn't catch the Fantano interview. Just how was the Fantano? Like, what was his thoughts
Awesome.
on all of it?
Awesome. He's a really nice guy. He's really down to earth. And he's been a person that I've watched, over the years. So it was a cool experience. But yeah, he's just into it. I think obviously it's not, so in some cases, the most groundbreaking music, but I don't think that every piece of music has to be groundbreaking. So we more just talked about dealing with stuff and getting to know each other. And he said it was like, I get the vibe he thinks the music is fun, and that's it, right? That's what I'm going for.
Well, that's what you're going for, and that's what comes across as. It's just you having fun, and like I can imagine, like as an industry guy, I can imagine what the live show would look like, and just it'd be a crowd of people just there, positive vibes,
Yeah,
bright colors everywhere,
a lot of jumping around,
a lot
and
of jumping and
yeah,
having fun.
yeah.
So the Danny Gonzalez video, I had kind of mixed opinions on it, but what was kind of your reaction to his video on I think it was on his second channel he posted that.
Yeah, great. I loved it. I was already a fan and I've been watching Danny for a long time. So right away I was like, oh, cool. He did a video about me. No matter what happens, like no matter what he says, like for me, it's like it's a little bit of affirmation and it'll probably make me laugh. And then him going into it being like, yeah, usually I just make fun of people on this channel, but instead I'm going to try to provide some like useful insight as a person who is an internet influencer to another person who's like, in that same sphere, much smaller. So I had a lot of good takeaways from it, and it helped me kind of like refocus myself a little bit, which was nice.
Yeah, yeah, that was my concern when I saw he posted a video, because I was familiar with him a bit. I've seen a couple of his videos, and I know he can kind of really
Yeah,
lean into people. And I was
yeah,
like, oh, don't do this to poor Andy. Don't do this. And then I watched it, and yeah, like you said, he approached it more from the way of, I think it's because he even saw just the onslaught of everything and was like, I don't need to add fuel to this
yeah,
fire. It's let's try to add some perspective to the conversation. And I think that's more of what people need is perspective and humanizing what is, because and that's kind of my biggest issue with an app like TikTok, because it's so easy to hide behind something and say whatever you want, and like and that's with every cultural thing that's going on. Like right now, TikTok's blowing up because of the Amber Heard trial and Johnny Depp
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
trial, and that's the whole thing now. But just seeing the amount of people that can just hide behind things and not actually say it out. Because that's the thing. My view on is, if you can't say it in person, or you literally won't say it in person, why should you say it online through a
Yeah,
faceless account? It doesn't really make any
yeah.
sense.
People use the keyboard as kind of like a safety, like a shield, and they're like, I can say whatever I want through this keyboard, and there will be no repercussions to me ever. But yeah, if you walked up to a person in public, most people would never have the stones to say something like so incredibly rude, right? And maybe it's just because we're like Canadian and just raised that way. But like, I don't run around like telling people they suck to their faces. Like, I don't tell people they suck, behind their back. I'm just not really that kind of person. But I think, yeah, I feel like it's so easy for people to just be mean on the internet, and they feel like there's no repercussions. But then again, you never know. Like, you find out people are really easy to track down through the internet, and then maybe there are repercussions. Not that I'm going after anybody, but people will learn, I think.
It's about learning and growing, and kind of getting over that self ignorance, and I kind of focus it like this: like there's a bubble that eventually pops for people. It's either early
Mm,
in life due to circumstance, or it's later in life due to a brick wall hitting them in the face.
yeah.
But it comes about either way, and then you have that realization of, wow, I've been really wasting my time doing XYZ when I could have been doing ABC. Like
Hmm.
it's amazing to see that. But so with this project, what kind of is the groundwork plan right now? Like you put out a few songs. Like, are you planning some touring? Are you planning a full LP? Like, what's the general landscape looking like right now?
Just to cycle back to the thing you said before I answer that, one of the best quotes I ever heard, it's a Mike Tyson quote, and it's everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And having been punched in the mouth before, I can tell you that your approach to other human beings changes real quick when you realize that you don't want to get punched in the face again.
Very true. Very
Yeah,
true.
yeah. So with the anti-negative thing, right now I'm just working on new music. I have some shows in the works for the summer. I very much want to tour, but for those that know, touring as a Canadian into the United States is very difficult, and that's where the majority of my audience is. So there's a big process involved, and there's pitching for visas, and it's a complicated process because they don't really want you just coming over. We have our own musicians. We don't need you. Um, so that's something that's in the works, and has been for a while. I don't know what it's going to look like, but other than that, I'm working on my music for next year. I have a bunch of songs that'll come out, play some shows with some cool people, hopefully bring some bands from outside of Ottawa to Ottawa, maybe play some shows with them outside of Ottawa and other places in Canada. Um, yeah, just hopefully make some really cool videos, put out some songs that I'm really proud of, and play as many shows as I possibly can.
What's been the industry kind of response to this? Because this show is industry based. It's
Mm-hmm.
like just any response kind of from any sort of industry related company, or has it been just kind of neutral? Or I'm just really curious.
I would say definitely like having since When We Were Young came out, there's definitely been I've had some conversations with people that are up above me, I guess, is I don't like, in terms of the industry or whatever, just maybe better connected or whatever. And so there's some stuff in talks right now, but I mean it's nothing that's gonna be like, oh, big game changer. It's more just like, cool, that's a step. Now let's keep moving. Let's keep climbing up the stairs and just keep doing my thing. And when the right people come along, the right people come along. If I jive with them, it'll be cool. And I'm not like, all right, I need to get signed to X and Y label right now, and I need to go tour Europe next week, and I need to get a Billboard charting record a month from now, it's just like, cool, I'm going to meet some cool people that are hopefully more talented than me and be able to, or talented in different ways than me, and I'll be able to work with them and hopefully just make a cooler, more fun show for people to enjoy and be entertained by.
And I gotta give you kudos again because that's the mentality that a lot of these young musicians coming in need to have. It's that step by step of developing a project, taking your time. Like you said, you were on this for 6, 7 years, and now because of everything going on, it kind of gave you a little boost forward. Even with
Mm-hmm.
all the negativity, it
Yeah.
still gave you a boost in the direction and put you in front of a lot of eyeballs. And it's taking the time to build the project that you want to see and the package that you want to put out, and having that right team of people around you, because I've seen a lot of these like younger musicians now, and the thing is it's been going on for decades, but just
Yeah.
coming in, they have a big pop off, and all of a sudden they get picked up by a huge label, and then they get scalped pretty much, and all of a sudden they have a big blow up and then nothing
Yeah.
because they didn't have a plan and they rushed it all
Yeah.
too quickly, as opposed to it. I prefer. I had a conversation with one of the biggest agents in Canada, and he
Oh,
explained to
nice.
me. He goes, "You want to have an escalator ride up. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want an elevator." And ever since
No.
then, it makes that just hits so close to home because it's truly. I've seen bands go up the elevator and then they come back down just as quick,
Yeah.
like Twilight Zone Tower of Terror at Disney World. Just
I've ridden that. It's crazy. It's fun, but I wouldn't want to have that be my career.
uh,
That's it. And there's tons, a lot of the bands that I respect the most and that kind of have the biggest influence on me were bands and artists that, you know, every time they released an album, they got bigger. I just happened to come across somewhere in the middle, right? Like bands like Every Time I Die, which rest in peace, or Devin Townsend, which he's still going strong, just doing his own thing. Like their careers, like you said, they're escalator rides. They're always growing every time they do something new. And for me, that's always kind of been the, like after you get over the I'm 16 and I want to be the world's biggest rock star mentality, which, you know, disappears really quickly when you're a Canadian musician. And you realize that it's probably just not going to go like that. Yeah, it's more like you said, having a plan is so important. And the benefit of hindsight and the benefit of failure is like I've made a lot of stuff that didn't work, and I learned so much from more from that stuff that didn't work, and that's how I could be in a position where, oh, okay, something popped off. Instead of running away from it or being worried that people don't like it, getting scared and hiding in a broom closet for 6 months and whatever, it's like let's find a way to build off of it, having stuff already, you know, ready to go, and having a vision for the direction, and then just kind of following that and having fun with it, not letting other people decide for me what it's going to be.
that's the thing. Like it's it's trying to find a weird balance because you want to enjoy the project and also take it day by day, but you still need to have that balance of seeing kind of like the general goal or the general landscape that you want to hit on over the next like 2 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of musicians have that hard time because they either want that instant gratification or they're going to over plan and they're going to spend all their time planning, and then it ends up that they waste 2 years planning. So it's trying to find that balance. And that's the thing. It's also, as you know, it's right place, like right time,
Oh
because
yeah.
while obviously even with the negative connotation of everything that's happened, it's kind of been a right place, right time moment because it's put you in the direction of growth,
Yeah.
which at the end of the day is what you want.
But it's like it's right place, right time after 20 years of getting stuff in place. You know what I mean? Like learning what I did and didn't want to do. And the beauty of right now, TikTok, is that all of a sudden, whereas like even 5 years ago, if you didn't know the right people, you weren't going to get your music in front of the right people, right? There was still so many industry gatekeepers not even that long ago. But now TikTok literally leveled the playing field. You can get in front of people. You can create your own right place, right time if you just approach it with sincerity, I guess, or a bit of a plan, and you know, you're entertaining. Yeah, I love where we are right now in music because so much of the playing field has been leveled that somebody that maybe before would never have ever found an audience to build a career out of somebody who's like 45, who, you know, it makes like really specific noise music or something like that, and there's probably an audience for, but nobody was going to back them because it's so weirdly specific that no label would ever take a chance on them. It's like now with the internet the way that it is, like they could get in front of those like 150 or 1,000 people who really like that one specific thing and maybe make a career out of that, or even just like be able to do that with half of their time while they do whatever to pay their bills. I don't know. It's
No,
cool.
absolutely. That's the fantastic thing about the internet is it makes us all so connected to each other. I kind of want to touch on quickly before we wrap this up, the kind
Sure.
of the industry gatekeepers kind of point of
Mm.
view. And I, I think you having the background of being in the industry and working on your projects and understanding the pitfalls and what to avoid, uh, having that is such a blessing in disguise for when the potential to grow with a project like your project's now starting to grow because now you're able to navigate and see the red flags before they show up. So you're like, oh, I remember that from 4 years ago. I'm
Hmm.
not going to go left. I'm going to turn right this time. And with industry gatekeepers, it's always bothered me because it's kind of the mentality of if you don't like have a team around you, or you don't have a label, you don't have a manager or agent or whoever, it's the mentality of a lot of the people in the industry, and it still kind of is that, especially like when you're dealing with bookers or promoters or anything
Yeah.
like that. It's if no one else believes in you, why should I?
Hmm.
And while I do understand their perspective on it, because it's like, well, there's no hype, there's no this, there's no that, but it's like at the end of the day, it's the song that comes down. The music
Hmm.
and the content is the fuel of the project itself. And if there's potential and the music's good, it's not a bad thing to take a chance on a band that you've never heard of for whatever it is and see how it grows. Because you never know. Next thing you know, in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you could be sitting beside that person as they get on stage to accept a Grammy award.
Yeah.
Anything is possible in this industry, as you know.
Yeah. Well, I've worked in the industry for a long time, in many different facets of it, like especially the live music industry, and I've met a lot of cool people along the way. And one of the best pieces of advice I ever got for working in this industry is like be nice to everybody because you don't know who's on their way up and you don't know who's on their way down. And that's just like, a good approach to take in life is like if you're good to everybody, then people aren't going to be, you never know what opportunity might come out of it. And plus, it's just nice to be nice to people.
No, absolutely. The world, and especially the way the world is now, and over the past few years and everything that's happened, it's the world needs more positivity. The world
Hmm.
needs more kindness. The world needs more empathy and just communication because it's everything's going all over the place, and live shows are starting to come back.
Yep.
We're mixing it in like there's some and it's up and down, but hopefully we're still going to keep going in that direction in the next few years. But yeah, Andy, this has been an awesome conversation. I want to thank you for taking the time to
Yeah.
hop on this and chat with me for a little bit. Where can people find you and what you do?
Just Andy Negative, Andy, and the word negative. You can look me up. I'm primarily TikTok, YouTube, and if you go to my website, I've got merch. But basically, the deal is come along for the ride. We're having a journey. It's going to be a fun one. You're going to hopefully be entertained through the entire thing. And I want to chat with everybody that wants to be involved. I'm trying to build a community, and I think we can have a fun time. So come hang out.
Just trying to have a fun time.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for another episode. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.